Do you know, pardon me for starting with um, predatory capitalism. I should have memorized the definition that I found on Google, but it's popular acceptance of aggression and greed as normal behaviors in the marketplace. And
the Wolf of Wall Street.
yeah, I mean, look at Bernie Madoff, too much of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite little parables is of a wealthy man who cannot bear to leave it behind. So he begs and beseeches God to let him take it with him. And God finally relents and says, okay, but only one suitcase filled with your treasure. So he fills it with gold brick, has it under his bed till the appointed hour, at which moment he appears at the pearly gates, suitcase in hand. And St. Peter says to him, I'm sorry, but you can't bring anything in here. And he says, yes, I can. God has given me permission. And he said, this is most unusual. Would you mind if I see what you couldn't leave behind? So the man proudly threw open the suitcase, revealing all this glimmering gold brick. And St. Peter looked at it and looked at the man and said, why in heaven's name would you want to bring pavement?
Yeah.
So I see these wars. These are people fighting over pavement and paving over beauty.
Mm.
And there's a wonderful quote from the sociobiologist E.O. Wilson. He was at Harvard. And it says, the foreign policy of ants could be described this way: restless aggression, territorial conquest of neighboring colonies, genocidal annihilation of these colonies where possible. If ants had the bomb, they'd destroy the world in a week. So I saw, we are not in a dog-eat-dog world. We're in an ant-eat-ant world. We are living at the level of insects that have identical identities and are operated by a queen. Mm-hmm. This, I think, is some people's vision for our future. Wouldn't it be nice if we could herd them all into a collective and wire them up so they're responsive to a directive that comes from on high? So that's one vision. But what is meant to happen at that time, and we all feel the energy. It's energy of ascension. This is metamorphosis energy. This is a time like none other that is so catalytic to our transformation. And just like a kernel of corn has to be heated to a certain temperature to burst open into an irreversible metamorphosis of flower, an edible flower that delights, it takes a lot of heat and it takes a lot of pressure. Same with diamonds. Just to parenthetically move over there for a moment. Mm-hmm. In terms of rare diamonds or whatever, that's what we are meant to be, is rare diamonds. That's what's rare. We are made of love. Everything is. But the uniqueness of who we are is one of a kind in all eternity.
Yes, indeed. My teacher, Rabbi Gaffney, he likes to express it as following, that there's more God to come, because as the divine manifests in each unique self, and that unique self is evolving into ever even greater uniqueness,
yes,
participating in the divine field, there is more God to come.
Yes.
And it's this beautiful way of thinking, like we're participating in the evolution of something that is ourself and also much bigger than ourself. And I think one of the things that we're experiencing now in this collective time of heat and pressure is the desire for heat and pressure, because human beings don't do particularly well when things are too easy, too comfortable, too lavish, and then we don't have that forging pressure, almost the creative constraint of our own soul to bring out our best.
Yes.
And I think we're calling that in collectively. I really feel that happening where even the people who are preparing for the worst, some part of them wants the worst because they know that something will emerge out of them, some hero, some grandiosity will emerge when they've come face to face with, the challenge.
Yeah, we know. I mean, people say, I need a good kick in the pants, but what we're talking about is a catalyst. And I was fascinated to read years ago that some seeds are timed to open only after a second thaw and frost, because there's going to be 2 cycles, and if it gets it in between, it's gone. And some seeds...
Nature's so smart.
Oh, genius, all of it.
Yeah.
And some seeds take a fire to ignite their growth. Right. So that's what's happening. It may feel like hell. The resistance certainly makes it hellish, but not the actual experience. So the acorn, a case in point, if that hard shell doesn't get cracked by something, that oak tree that lives for so long, that offers shade and shelter and food and all sorts of things, it can't happen. Birth is kind of a painful, bloody process for many, many. The thing is, we're all guaranteed to live forever. You can't get out of here even if you want to.
Yeah.
So, but there are higher and higher realms, I understand.
Of course.
We don't have to live in the same psychodrama.
This podcast, like every other one, whether I mention it or not, is brought to you by Onnit Alpha Brain Black Label. Now, it's brought to you by Onnit Alpha Brain Black Label, one, because this was the company that I helped create, and a formula which I worked with some of the top experts in the world to build, which has become the flagship nootropic all across the country and many parts of the world. But it's also brought to you by it because I take it every single time I do a podcast. I don't miss a podcast without taking Black Label. Now, it used to be Alpha Brain back in the day, but since Black Label came on the market, it just provides this crystalline focus where I'm able to drop in, really connect with the guests, have access to information, stories, words. It creates this kind of flow state. And whether I'm writing or podcasting or reading, taking notes, whatever I'm doing, Alpha Brain Black Label is my ride or die homie. So click the link on the screen if you're interested in checking it out, or go to onnit.com/Aubrey for 10% off Alpha Brain Black Label and all other Onnit supplements and products.
One of the things that was really mind-bending for me was when my friend and multiple-time podcast guest, Matthias DeStefano, who remembers his past lives, and I'd say that very casually, and obviously I can't approach that with great skepticism, but he's won me over with this kind of anthro-ontological, meaning I can feel it in my body, truth
gorgeous.
Of what he's expressing.
Yeah, you remember.
I remember. I remember what he's remembering, and I can feel it as true. And he was saying, he laughed about a similar thing. He says, you die, and then you go to the liminal space where you're not yet reincarnated, but that's in a place that's beyond time itself. So it's simultaneously immediate reincarnation and an eternity of space and time. And I was thinking, how do we even think of something like that? But it was ultimately, he was laughing at this idea of people scrambling to live forever when we live forever in so many different complex ways in this mandala of time and space and the unborn and undying essence of who we really are.